It's 4 in the morning. You're sitting on the edge of the bathroom floor, tile cold against your legs, heart pounding like you ran up a flight of stairs. You took your shot on Thursday like you were told. You ate clean. You did everything right. And yet here you are again. Clean. Nauseous. Clean. Shaky. Clean. Soaked through your nightgown. Wondering if something is very, very wrong with you. They told you it was the dose. They told you it was just side effects. Your sister said, you're not eating enough. Your husband thinks you're being dramatic. Your doctor's nurse told you to give it time. Clean. They're all wrong. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly which 5 foods are doing this to you on Ozempic, and number 2 is something your own pharmacist probably handed you a pamphlet recommending. I'm going to give you the one counterintuitive fix that stops the 4 a.m. wake-ups inside a single week. And I'm going to name the one blood test your doctor has almost certainly refused to run on you, even though it costs about $39 online. But first, I have to tell you about Diane. It's Diane, T's non-May, US2I, Di times 7 coli, which nabad stage I, Mach of diabetes and type 2 diabetes, for first, pertench of diabetes and times 7 coli, sub 2 matra perst, matric, not side, matra colide, for state, matra co, iteen, clean. Diane is 54. She runs a small dental practice outside Columbus. Clean. 2 kids in college. A husband who travels for work. And for the last 7 months, she has been on Ozempic. Clean. On paper, it was work. Clean. She'd lost 20. Her A1C had come down almost a full point. Her primary care doctor was thrilled. Took a picture of her chart and showed it at a conference. Clean. But Diane was falling apart. She came to me after seeing 5 other clinicians. The first was her primary, who told her the nausea was normal and to eat smaller meals. The second was a gastroenterologist who scoped her, found nothing, and wrote her a script for an anti-nausea pill. Clean. Didn't work. The third was an endocrinologist who told her to lower her dose. Not times 7 perk, type 2 diabetes, and Precta's way sarge, not times 7 times 7. Utinative 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, and strides pavanis, she's managing prediabetes and copidan managing, the days pavatis and copani, and frop to managing in coldals rye. So consumed clean. She did. Clean. The wake-ups got worse. The fourth was a functional medicine nurse practitioner who sold her $800 of supplements. And $8TN, ATS, A and K SEPA, and in MAD, with Rive called of the TTS, in SEPAMS, Shy DSO KSEP. The fifth was a therapist who told her she had health anxiety. By the time Diane sat across from me, she had a sentence ready. She'd practiced it in the car. She said, I think I'm slowly poisoning myself and nobody believes me. I asked her one question. Clean. Just one. The same question I've asked over 200 women on GLP-1 medications. I said, Diane, what did you eat for dinner last night? Clean. She looked almost embarrassed. She said, grilled chicken, a big salad, a glass of red wine, and about half a bowl of those roasted almonds my daughter brought home. Clean, innocent answer. Clean, healthy answer. The kind of dinner a magazine would put on its cover. And in that moment, I already knew exactly what was happening inside Diane's body at 3 in the morning. Because I'd seen it on a continuous glucose monitor in 71 out of the last 100 women I'd tested on Ozempic. What I had her do next sounds insane. It sounds like the opposite of every piece of advice she'd been given. But it worked in exactly 4 nights. And by Wednesday morning, she sent me a 1-word text that I'll read to you in a minute. But before I tell you what I had her do, You need to understand what's actually happening inside your body when you take that shot. Because if you don't understand the mechanism, none of the 5 foods will make sense. Here's what no one is telling women on Ozempic. Think of your stomach like a sink with a drain. Normally, food goes in the top, and your stomach drains it into your small intestine at a steady rate. Clean, maybe an hour, maybe 2. Clean, clean. Your blood sugar rises, then falls, then settles. Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, all of these, they don't just suppress your appetite. They turn the drain on your stomach almost all the way off. We call it delayed gastric emptying. In some women, food sits in their stomach for 6, 8, even 10 hours. Now think about what that means. You eat dinner at 7 p.m. Your body, in a normal world, would have digested that meal by 9. Clean. Blood sugar back to baseline. Clean. Insulin levels low. Clean. You sleep. Clean. But on Ozempic, that same dinner is still sitting there at midnight. Clean. Slowly trickling into your bloodstream. Clean drip. Clean drip. Clean drip. Your pancreas, which is still partly working, keeps releasing insulin to handle the drip. And here's the part. The drug company brochures leave out at around 2 or 3 in the morning. You finally finish digesting. Clean. The food drip stops. But the insulin is still there. And insulin without food coming in equals a blood sugar crash. That's the 4 a.m. Wake up. Clean. That's the cold sweat. Clean. Clean. That's the nausea. Clean. It's not anxiety. Clean. It's not just side effects. It's a real, measurable, documented phenomenon called postprandial reactive hypoglycemia, and it has been written about in medical journals since the 1960s. We just stopped teaching it to doctors when GLP-1 drugs got popular because admitting it would slow down the prescription pad. Clean. Now, here's why this matters. Some foods make this drip 100 times worse. Some foods make Ozempic basically poisonous overnight. And in a moment, I'm going to count them down from number 5 to number 1. Number 2 is going to make you genuinely angry because it's the food your own pharmacist probably told you was the safe option. Clean. Stay with me. Let me show you what was happening inside Diane's body. Because I put a continuous glucose monitor on her the day after that first appointment. And what came back was the proof she'd been begging for 7 months. Here's the chart from her Tuesday night. 7:02 p.m., she eats grilled chicken, salad, almonds, red wine. Clean. Glucose. Clean. 104. Clean. Totally normal. Clean. 9 p.m. glucose. Clean. 141. A little high for that meal, but not alarming. 11 p.m. She goes to bed. Clean. Glucose. Clean. 138. Still drifting up. 138. The food is still digesting. 147 a.m. glucose. 138. 138. Insulin is doing its job. 3:11 a.m. glucose. 138.58. 138. That is a clinical hypoglycemic event. That is the number where your adrenal glands dump adrenaline into your bloodstream to wake you up and save your life. That is the 4 a.m. bathroom floor. I printed the graph and slid it across the desk. Diane stared at it for a full 30 seconds. 138. 138. 138. Quiet cry. The kind of crying you do when somebody finally believes you. 138. She said, so it's 138. It wasn't in her head. It was on a chart that nobody had bothered to make. Now her husband, lovely man, well-meaning when she called him from my office and told him what I was about to recommend, he said, and I quote, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You'll gain all the weight back." We'll get to what I told her in a minute. Because first, you need the 5 foods. The 5 foods that, if you are on Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or any GLP-1, you have to stop eating after 3 in the afternoon. 138, starting tonight. 138. Raw nuts and nut butters in the evening. Almonds, cashews, peanut butter on apple slices, that thing every wellness influencer told you was a smart snack. 138. People think the fat and protein in nuts slow down digestion, which is good. 138. On an Ozempic stomach, you've taken a drain that's already 90% closed and poured cement into it. That dinner now sits for 10 hours. 138. The rule. No nuts, no nut butters, after 3 p.m. 138. Save them for breakfast. 138. 138. Cruciferous vegetables at dinner. Yes, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. The exact foods you nutritionist told you to load your plate with. They are fibrous, slow to break down, and they ferment in a half-paralyzed stomach. You get the bloating, the rotten egg burps, the 4 a.m. nausea. 138. Eat them at lunch. 138. 138. 138. Red wine. Or any alcohol after 6 p.m. Alcohol blocks your liver from releasing stored glucose overnight, which is exactly what your liver needs to do to keep you out of the 58 zone at 3 a.m. 1 glass of red wine on Ozempic is not the same as 1 glass of red wine off it. It is a chemically different event. The molecule does not care about the marketing. 138. And this is the one that's going to make you angry. Protein bars and protein shakes, marketed for GLP-1 users. 138. The Ozempic-friendly ones. The ones in the pharmacy aisle with the little green leaf on them. I've tested 14 of the leading brands on women wearing CGMs. 11 of them caused a blood sugar spike followed by a crash worse than a bowl of ice cream. 138. Because they pack 25 grams of fast-absorbing whey, isolate plus sugar alcohols that hit your bloodstream within 40 minutes on a stomach that won't empty for 8 hours. 138. It's a chemistry experiment. And they sold it to you as health food. 138. I see this constantly. 138. They lied to you. 138. Number 1. 138. The worst offender. The one that destroys more women on Ozempic than any other food on earth. 138. Greek yogurt. Specifically the non-fat, high protein. 2 grams of sugar Greek yogurt. Your dietitian put on your meal plan. 138. Here's what's happening. Non-fat dairy spikes insulin almost twice as hard as full-fat dairy. It's called the insulinogenic effect, documented since the 1990s and ignored ever since. You eat it at 9 p.m. as a safe snack. 138. Your insulin doubles. 138. Your stomach won't empty. 6 hours later, the food drip ends, the insulin is still there, and you are on the bathroom floor at 4 a.m., wondering if you're dying. 138. Cut the evening Greek yogurt. 138. Cut those 5 and you will fix about 60% of the wake-ups. But to fix the other 40%, you need the weird trip I promised you. The one Diane's husband said was the dumbest thing he'd ever heard. 138. Here it is. 138. One sentence. I told her to eat a tablespoon of almond butter on a single rice cracker at exactly 9:30 p.m. with a pinch of sea salt. 138, that's it. 138, that's the fix. 138. Her sister told her it would undo all her weight loss. 138. 138. 138. So she tried it. Sunday night, she woke at 3:11. 138. 138, same as always. Monday night, she did the cracker. 138, woke at 4:22. 138, briefly. 138, Went back to sleep. Tuesday night, she did the cracker. 138. Slept until 5:50. Wednesday night, she did the cracker. Slept until her alarm at 6:30 for the first time in 7 months. Thursday morning, 6:33 a.m., my phone buzzed. 138. 138. Slept. I wrote back, "Welcome back to your life." The reason it works is brutally simple. Is calls for makings, confeking nevers, naughty sipped of dak. The sepen, and it can z round a mate to nevers capel, the be time and sepen. The reason it works is brutally simple. The reason it works is brutally simple. That tiny, slow-releasing fat and a carb combination gives your liver something to coast on through the 3 a.m. danger window. It bridges the gap between when the dinner drip stops and when the morning cortisol rise begins. 138. 138. It is a bridge. And on a GLP-1, you need that bridge, or your body wakes you up to find food itself. Now, some of you are going to try this, and it still won't work. And the reason is, one blood test your doctor has almost certainly refused to run on you. 138. It's called fasting insulin. 138. Not glucose. 138. Not A1's. 138. Fasting insulin. With a paired C-peptide, if you want to be thorough. Your doctor will tell you your glucose is fine. Your A1C is fine. 138, so you're fine. But fasting insulin tells you how hard your pancreas is working to keep that glucose normal. On Ozempic, your pancreas is being whipped overnight to clean up the slow food drip. A healthy fasting insulin should be under 7. I see women on Ozempic walking around with fasting insulins of 19, 22, 28. Their A1C looks beautiful. 138. Their pancreas is on fire. Doctors don't run it because insurance often won't cover it as a screening test, and because most clinicians weren't trained to interpret it. In FirstNet, by pacing Payson which twite, that trained notch wire space and Kate, is in clinicians with Payson's mage, and watch wires Payson's mage, which mage are, often won't cover it as a screening test. You can order it yourself online for around $39. You walk into a lab, they draw your blood. You have the answer in 3 days. Please talk to your doctor before changing any medication or dose. But you are allowed to have information about your own body. So here is the one rule. 138. Write this down. If you are on Ozempic and waking up sick at 3 or 4 a.m., you do not have a side effect problem. You do not have an anxiety problem. You have a nighttime insulin problem. And it is fixable in 4 nights. 138. One last thing about Diane. When I pulled her file out to review with her, I noticed something I hadn't mentioned in our first appointment. Her grandmother died at 61 of what the family always called a sudden heart event in her sleep. Her mother had been diagnosed with something called LADA, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults at age 58. 138. Diane is 54. The wake-ups, we fixed in a week. But what I saw on her advanced labs told me that her pancreas, the one that's been getting whipped every single night for 7 months on this drug, is showing the early antibody pattern of the same condition that took her mother. That's a problem that won't show up on a standard A1C for maybe 10 more years. And by then, it's almost irreversible. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you exactly which 3 markers reveal early LADA in women on GLP-1 medications, why almost no doctor in America is screening for it, and the simple at-home protocol I put Diane on to protect what's left of her pancreas. If you are on Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or Zepbound, you cannot afford to miss it. Subscribe and turn on the bell. YouTube is going to bury this one. This information makes a lot of very, very large industries very nervous. 138. I'll see you tomorrow.